I'm Jessica Condit, senior reporter for Engadget.com, and I'm here at the Alt Control Lounge at GDC. So this is the third annual exhibition of games with really weird controls, and let's see what they have. I'm here with Crank Tank, and we have 3 creators. So what is this? This is a physical game, like you're cranking away, and how did this even come about?
So this was actually a final for one of our classes last semester. We're all students at Parsons School of Design in New York, and this was the final. It was go forth and make something with the knowledge you've learned, non-standard. Obviously this is about as non-standard as it gets for arcade cabinets, and this is what we got. This is what we came up with. We'd love for it to be installed, in an arcade or any sort of place like Dave & Buster's and things like that, just because otherwise it's just going to sit. Yeah, it'll be a stress relief for the graduate students.
Please Stand By uses an actual old, 1950s?
1951 K-Part television set. Original rabbit ears, original controls, box, everything. About a year ago, I'd been doing a lot of other hardware games involving rotary telephones and other found old technology. And I had gotten in my head I wanted to do one about TV and broadcasting. Went home and was talking to my wife about it, and then she started poking around Craigslist. She's like, well, what about this? And I was like, that's it. So I started doing a lot of research politically, 1950s and moving forward, mistakes we've made in the past, the things that we've done right, the things that have been driven by fear. Like in the first scenario, domino theory, it's basically about how the US was terrified that there was going to be this continual collapse of nations to communism, and then that ended up just wrecking everything. And then moving forward, 1970s, coming to the end of the Vietnam War. So it's not particularly taking a stance on these issues, but kind of reminding us about both the power of broadcasting, the responsibility of broadcasters and disseminating information, but then also our responsibility and how easy it is to both get information but also ignore it. The game itself is kind of light puzzle elements, but much more about getting people to explore the interface and the controls, hitting the TV, playing with the aesthetic and tactile nature of old technology. So that side of it, just getting to explore the alternative controller side and getting people to go outside their comfort zone and how to use something.
Hello Operator. This is a legit 1920s operating booth. How did you turn this into a functional machine again?
Yeah, so it was a lot of poking around and just trying to figure out how does this thing work. Turns out there's not a lot of documentation out there about how this 90-year-old hardware functions. Part of it is being able to physically connect with the history of technology in such a tangible way is interesting. The ways that people have solved technological problems throughout history is really interesting and not something you're going to sit down and read a book about. And sort of a lot of my work at the MIT Media Lab is on the sort of storytelling in general and how the way you physically interact with a story affects your response to it. With any of these are a hard problem of, how can I tell you an interesting, meaningful story in the 5 minutes you're probably going to engage with something? So finding the right space where in those 5 minutes you're primed to have a meaningful story told to you.